What's something that people think makes them look cool but actually has the opposite effect? When people play their music loud at the gas pumps. I recently saw a woman leave her toddler in the car with the crappy music blasting to the point that it was uncomfortable and unpleasant for everyone else pumping gas, while she went into the store. Felt bad for that child. My ex did this with our kids. I had to sit her down and explain what was inappropriate about it. She seems to honestly not know it looked more white trash than cool. She's trashy. Edit, changed white trash to trashy. My ex's skin color is irrelevant. Having a phone conversation on a loudspeaker in public, or blasting shitty music from a cheap oversaturated BT speaker on public transport. We get it, negative attention is also attention, but taking over a public space with your edginess, is just being an asshole. My parents have recently discovered speakerphone and refuse to believe there is such a thing as speakerphone etiquette. I'll be talking to them and all of a sudden I'll hear, "So do we know what we want to order?" and I realize they've been holding this entire conversation on speakerphone in a restaurant surrounded by people trying to enjoy their dinner. Oh, and I have thought that my parents are the only one. The absolutely worst case they had done it was when there were a family's friends staying at their place. Parents called me and haven't mentioned anything about being on speaker. They told me about having a last night full of drinking and some stuff. So I asked whether it was okay because one of their guests is quite aggressive and unpleasant when she drinks. And yet, she was sitting next to them. They went like, "But hun, she is sitting next to us. You are being rude." Am I being rude? You are the ones that brings personal talks to the table. I still felt ashamed AF even though what I said was true. Don't. I have so much sympathy for you here. It's unreal how many people bring their phone conversations out in places that it's not appropriate, at the register, drive-through, dinner table, etc. The third party in your story probably needs to hear about her behavior. Mean drunks often don't realize how they appear. You are totally in the right. Edit, grammar. Not appropriate, at the register. Back in my restaurant days I worked at a short order pizza joint. If you have a nice line of people, I find the most effective way to get through to most of these people is to look right at the person on the phone, don't say a word, then look right at the person behind them in line and ask what they'd like to order. If the phone person complains, you just say, "I'm sorry, I thought you were on the phone and I didn't want to interrupt you." It won't generally be taken as passive-aggressive even though it definitely is. Kids bragging about their parents' wealth and success. Man, people who say, "Well, my parent is blah blah blah," like they know or can do the same things their parents can, really gets under my skin. Edit, hey, I finally noticed it was my cake day before 11 p.m, thanks everyone. Story, when I was in like 6th grade on the school bus, someone said something and brought attention to me. This girl exclaims, "Ew, you have lice." To which I respond, "No, I don't, it's dandruff." And she comes back with, "No, it's lice, my mom's a hairstylist." And all I could say was, "So?" Then went back to sleep as best I could. It's not that they're trying to tell you they can do the same stuff. It's that they want you to defer to them like royalty because their parents are important and powerful. I taught HS and MS for 7 years. That shit happened pretty routinely. The worst part of it was that it typically worked because of community politics. You don't want to upset the kid of rich parents or parents who are connected to the right people. I had a kid once who was the adopted son of 2 successful attorneys. He was always bragging about his family's wealth and their multiple vacation homes. One time during a parent-teacher conference, the kid all but admitted that the reason he always had several $1,000s in cash on him at any given time, despite his parents taking away his credit and debit cards and cutting off his $400/WK allowance, was because he was selling drugs at school. But we were told, in no uncertain terms by our principal, not to investigate that if we valued our jobs. Sure enough, he got busted off campus selling cocaine a couple of weeks later and went to juvie. Why sell drugs when your life is made already? Crazy. Because drugs were the only reason he had friends and girls. He was a douche and nobody liked him as a person, but hanging out with him and pretending he was cool would get you hooked up with drugs, as well as alcohol, rides in his new BMW, and raging parties at his parents' lake house on the weekends. Also, his parents had, supposedly, cut off all his other money for other shit he was getting into. This was his way of being independent. That $400/WK allowance and credit card with the $10,000 limit that he ran up every month was gone and, well, it's expensive being 16. There was a guy my best friend dated in high school who had very wealthy lawyers as parents, and he scoffed at me and my friends for having part-time, minimum wage jobs. He said, verbatim, "Nothing is worth doing if it pays less than $50 an hour." That's what my parents make, and that was the moment I realized there really are people that are that out of touch from reality. Edit, man, this was like 8 years ago, and many are debating about lawyers and how much they make an hour. All I know is this kid thought his time was worth $50/HR at the age of 16 with no experience and said his parents made that much. I'd what they actually made, and $50/HR is a lot for me/my friends because we all come from low income, working class families. His parents were extremely wealthy, and probably made way over $50/HR. I just remember that's what the kid said to us. God, that's my oldest brother. I love him to death, but that guy won't let you get happy about anything you have. Most recent thing that he did. My husband and I took our kids to Croatia to visit family. We stayed for 2 months. My husband and kids have gone more often, but the last time I took a real vacation, and went there, was in 2009. Of course I was ecstatic, and started sending pictures to the family chat since we landed in Madrid for a layover. Everybody was happy and commenting on the pictures. Everybody but my brother. His comments were only about when he and his wife went, or posting his own pictures, which we all saw, we all talked about, and that it happened like 5 years ago. I hate people like that, man.